Good morning. Today's thought for the day comes from Psalm 73. I'll read it to you from the NIV version. Surely God is good to Israel, to those who are pure in heart. But as for me, my feet had almost slipped. I had nearly lost my foothold, for I envied the arrogant when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. They have no struggles. Their bodies are healthy and strong. They are free from common human burdens. They are not plagued by human ills. Therefore pride is their necklace. They clothe themselves with violence. From their callous hearts come iniquity. Their evil imaginations have no limits. They scoff and speak with malice. With arrogance they threaten oppression. Their mouths lay claim to heaven, and their tongues take possession of the earth. Therefore their people turn to them and drink up waters in abundance. They say, how would God know? Does the Most High know anything? This is what the wicked are like, always free of care. They go on amassing wealth. Surely in vain I have kept my heart pure, and have washed my hands in innocence. All day long I have been afflicted, and every morning brings new punishments. If I had spoken out like that, I would have betrayed your children. When I tried to understand all this, it troubled me deeply, until I entered the sanctuary of God, and then I understood their final destiny. Surely you place them on slippery ground, you cast them down to ruin. How suddenly are they destroyed, completely swept away by terrors. They are like a dream when one awakes. When you arise, Lord, you will despise them as fantasies. When my heart was grieved and my spirit embittered, I was senseless and ignorant. I was a brute beast before you. Yet I am always with you. You hold me by my right hand. You guide me with your counsel. And afterwards you will take me into glory. Whom have I in heaven but you? And earth has nothing I desire besides you. My flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Those who are far from you will perish. You destroy all those who are unfaithful to you. But as for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge. I will tell of all your deeds. This psalm, number 73, comes at the beginning of what is often called Book 3 of the Psalms. Book 3, the last section. Book 3 is generally a collection of rather lamenting and sometimes quite complaining passages about apparent injustice. The Bible doesn't always give us the word from God, but also gives us words for us, words that we can use to lament and tell them just how we feel. A bit of a rant, in fact, and God can cope with that. In this psalm, as with many others, they finish with a very uplifting conclusion, when we do eventually turn back to rejoice in God's unfailing presence and love. The author here starts with a very gloomy description of how many people seem to have untroubled lives with no problems at all, in spite of their arrogance and wickedness. The author is clearly envious that some people appear to have no worries, while he is constantly worried and troubled, in spite of keeping his heart pure. But actually, how often do we really know about other people's anxieties and troubles? We may be just about able to understand our own anxieties and worries, but what do we really know about other people's? Very little, I suggest. I remember one of Jeremy Cox's talks very well. He described an incident when he was coming back on the train from one of the motivational conferences he used to run. Travelling with him was a chief exec who was the main man at the conference. He was very well respected by his staff and the team that worked with him, but he confessed to Jeremy, there's one thing I really worry about, that's that someone will find me out and discover that I'm as weak and vulnerable as all the rest of them. That was a great moment when he confessed his own anxieties, and maybe he had discovered a need for God. I'm sure Jeremy took him further down that journey. There are two words or phrases that really stand out and register with me in this psalm, and they pop up in many other psalms as well. The psalm closes with, "You hold me by the right hand, you guide me with your counsel," and "I have made the sovereign Lord my refuge." And you will almost certainly recall the famous Psalm 46 phrase, so well remembered when we sing the famous Dam Buster hymn. I'll just start it off for you. God is our strength and refuge, our present help in trouble, and so on. Why don't you sing that in the shower every morning? Several years ago, I went through an agonizing year with a family bereavement and falling very seriously ill for about 3 months. Some of my friends said, "Aren't you angry with God, or don't you think it's just unfair that he makes you go through all that?" I don't believe I was ever angry, but I do often reflect on how we react when dire situations fall on us. It seems pointless seeking an answer on why it should happen to us, or asking God to explain what's it for. This is beyond our comprehension, but we can certainly turn to God to guide us through these situations and strengthen us to cope with them. That, I think, is the concluding message from this psalm. Let's be grateful for what we have and not seek the apparently untroubled lives of others, which is probably only a fantasy. Instead, let's look to God to help us through the troubles when they occur and find the refuge and the guiding hand that we all so desperately need. Thank you.